Andrew, the Galactic historian, with a very, very special show. It's a show that we're going to be translating in simultaneous to Spanish. Now, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Santi, and our Spanish translator, Christina. It's an absolutely wonderful.
Why don't you talk? Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how did you come to it?
A long time ago, when I was a little baby galactic historian, I came to a time in my life where I realized it was very different. And this difference accumulated to an event in where I went to a baseball stadium. And at the end of the game, when it was a tied score, I experienced the entire stadium cheering for winning the game. And at that moment, I experienced all 80,000 people in the stadium and around the stadium. I downloaded their entire Akashic record history. And from that, I connected to all 80,000 and understood who they were in all of their lifetimes at age 9 years old. From that point, I knew I was very different. And in that difference, I looked into myself and began asking questions. Who are we as a species? Why have we forgotten our history? And then I said, who took our history? As I began to go to school and be educated, I discovered blaring lies. I discovered untruth at every level of my learning until I understood the facade reality. This illusion we live in is based on our belief system of what is truth. And I looked into that word truth, and I discovered that truth is based on the observer. Everyone observes truth differently. There are 7,300,000,000 of us. Each one is different. And as distinct as everyone is, we have no common code as a species. We are full of rhetoric.
Okay, Andrew. So, in that context, what does it mean, a galactic historian?
It means that as a human being, inside my heart and brain is the original person who was there at the 0 point of the fetus inside my mother's womb. I can remember to the womb. And throughout my life, I have made sure that those memories never fade. The Galactic Historian represents an understanding of the truth and lies, and how lies and truth are juxtaposed until there is a confusion of truths in thousands of belief systems that promote truth based on a foundation of lies. The Galactic Historian represents the neutral perspective of the planet Earth. Each of us has an experience on this planet, and that experience is individual, and it is shared with the Earth in our dreams. We are souls incarnated on Earth. We project from the astral to the physical, and in this physical experience we dream, and that is our connection to our Earth. On the other side of the dream world is where I traveled as the Galactic Historian to learn to speak the soul languages of all species kind, and that is what the Galactic Historian is. Just as Christina translates this to Spanish,
Another question that I have for you. Are there any other galactic historians?
Yes, there are. There were 3 others that had a choice before me. When it came their time, they said no. Their souls were not ready for the experience. When it came my turn, I said yes. There are 2 others that have come after me, and they are in their opportunity of saying yes or no. And when that cycle of yes or no is done, there'll be another group of pods that come through who will want to say yes or no. It will determine by the sovereignty of the species.
Okay, so these people that have rejected, and are these people here on Earth?
Yes, they are here on Earth, and rejected is a bad word. They made a choice based off of their 54 million years of experience. Those that came before have been in the interesting times of our world thousands of times. They have been at the height thousands of times, have experienced the 4 previous destructions of our world, and they deserve the compassion and forgiveness. For they are here too, and because they made one choice in an infinite multitude of other choices, they should not be judged, but be given the final resolution of a free species. It is a testament to all people who stand up and say yes Let's change. For all those ancestors who came before us, who also made a choice of yes or no. We now have the legacy of yes or no as a species. It is our history to write, not the history of the victors and conquerors. It is our legacy to stand in sovereign power, to stand in truth in perpetuity, to allow ourselves to be one with the land we live on, to pray to who we determine to pray to love who we want to love, to be loved by all species kind. We live in a natural world. We were born in a natural way. Our world does not want us to see this. Look into our hospital system. It is a place people go to die. It is a place of sterility and no emotions. Our babies are born into that, torn from their fetal sac, their umbilical cord cut off, slapped in the ass and given 22 vaccinations, and then stuck in an incubator so that they are not put on the mother's heart. The umbilical cord can stay attached for up to 4 days.
Okay, so these people that have rejected, and are these people here on Earth?
Yes, they are here on Earth, and rejected is a bad word. They made a choice based off of their 54 million years of experience. Those that came before have been in the interesting times of our world thousands of times. They have been at the height thousands of times, have experienced the 4 previous destructions of our world, and they deserve the compassion and forgiveness. For they are here too, and because they made one choice in an infinite multitude of other choices, they should not be judged, but be given the final resolution of a free species. It is a testament to all people who stand up and say, yes, let's change. For all those ancestors who came before us, who also made a choice of yes or no. We now have the legacy of yes or no as a species. It is our history to write, not the history of the victors and conquerors. It is our legacy to stand in sovereign power, to stand in truth in perpetuity, to allow ourselves to be one with the land we live on, to pray to who we determine to pray to love who we want to love, to be loved by all species kind. We live in a natural world. We were born in a natural way. Our world does not want us to see this. Look into our hospital system. It is a place people go to die. It is a place of sterility and no emotions. Our babies are born into that, torn from their fetal sac, their umbilical cord cut off, slapped in the ass and given 22 vaccinations, and then stuck in an incubator so that they are not put on the mother's heart. The umbilical cord can stay attached for up to 4 days.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit? You brought very, very interesting point. Can you talk about the galactic history?
Yes, I can. Our history starts 54 million years ago when our species was very different. We were the lighthouse of the universe, and our universe was not fully free-willed yet. And our universe was about to become fully free will. Earth was a massive project created in many different universes in an attempt to create a planet that can seed brand new DNA life on other blank worlds. Earth was known as the Galactic seed planet. What that meant was Earth had special places on its surface where those beings that lived there were connected to a special dream time of the mind of the world. And there they could create endless forests, oceans full of fish, grasslands full of horses, jungles full of life. And those dream world places manifested on Earth. And once they manifested, they could be psychically transported to a brand new world in another galaxy. And that psychic information would be grafted onto the new world. A billion trees, a trillion fish, oceans full of water, so life could start. And that was the purpose of Earth, at a massive scale. Earth could service millions of planets simultaneously, and that is why it's known as the galactic seed planet. At one point in our history of the universe, our universe went from non-free will to free will. And at that point, our universal beings also had free will at a new scale. For a few thousand years, there was a misunderstanding. of what Earth could actually do. And then the rest of the universe began to discover that the skin suit technology on Earth was far more advanced than everything else. And suddenly on Earth, there were trillions upon trillions of beings in our astral worlds incarnating into Earth who were not a part of the creation of Earth at first. Squatters. And this is what started this concept of war. And from that point forth, we have been invested in war, spread around the galaxies and universes. And for the last 54 million years, we've been trying to end these wars, in which a concept called timeline genocide was introduced to this universe. And it sent shock waves through all other universes, for someone had figured out how to erase an experience of a whole species. And that species had shared their DNA with thousands of other species. And those species shared it with millions of others. And everything that shared the DNA, from those wiped out by timeline genocide, trillions upon trillions lost their experience. No ancestors, no life, just an astral world in which they cannot incarnate again until their history is returned. And that is where the galactic historians of the universe came, to help people connect to the network of Akashic records that were not affected by time.
Okay, Andrew, so you brought excellent points here. Let me ask you, what is exactly you mean, or what is your what it means timeline genocide?
Timeline genocide is a concept that was introduced to us as a free-willed universe. It was created by the smallest beings of the universe, the most micro of micro, compared to those of the highest universal order. The whole universe received an update for free will simultaneously throughout the universe. The beings at the lower densities, but high frequency understanding, came to the concept of Earth, believing they could change the galaxies and ensure a whole new brand of life coming in. There were other species brand new to free will who believed they were the legacy holders of the universe. So over many thousands of years, a competition arose between Earth and many other planets in the universe. This competition culminated in a war had never been seen in any of the other universes, in which individual micro beings from a single planet intertwined themselves with the history of another planet by entering their social agreement of time with the direct purpose of manipulating their macro perception of time to begin the process of erasing DNA memories. Technology had been discovered that DNA was the interface with the universe. That DNA was spread amongst millions and millions of galaxies. And this is where timeline genocide was used as a strategy to eliminate vast volumes of species from ever interacting with specific peoples, places, or events. It created a false separation of densities and began to affect the social agreement of times all over the galaxies. Universal time broke down and the shared realities amongst all the galaxies broke down. This breakdown created what's called the first uncreational event. This is when our universe was uncreated by the select choices of the micro few of that universe. Free will had been expanded by concept a billionfold. Universal beings from every expression came to our universe in an attempt to fix what was going on. So the uncreational event brought many universal beings here. They began to understand that the few micro beings had figured out how the DNA trade amongst solar systems was done. And they began to track the spread of DNA amongst many millions of worlds. And a specific point where DNA was mass traded and exchanged, the original time of that species here on Earth was erased, as if we had never existed since the beginning of universal time. With that understood, the rest of the universe that shared their DNA as a fundamental expression of life, they all lost their experience too. Trillions of worlds found themselves back in the astral worlds of their planets, unable to incarnate on their homes because there were no ancestors, without ancestors on the surface of the planet, and no copy of the Akashic record in which they had lived on that world. This is where the universal beings understood the fabric of the way the universe worked was manipulated on purpose with direct intent by very far-sighted beings who were intending to challenge the universal beings to a free-willed, no-holds-barred match. And this began the process of the Galactic Ascension Machine. This is where the Akashic records come in. The original homeworlds of these species who lost their experiences still contain a copy of the Akashic record of all the experiences of all those that were lost. Times that by trillions upon trillions of worlds, you begin to understand the scale and size of what was lost. The universal beings brought all spirits, brought people to Earth to begin the first networked web of resolution. And that was to create our universe and not recreate it. For if we had to be recreated as a universe, there would be bleed through and a tear. For the universal entity to remain in unity, we had a creational event in which the original purpose of Earth was linked into the dreaming mind of all solar systems. So all karma could be resolved in the dreaming mind of Earth. All beings who were on their home worlds, in their astral worlds, found a rainbow gateway to Earth in which they could dream and regain their Akashic experience of who they were. That was the first uncreational event and creational event. We have had 4 uncreational events, and this is the crux of where we live now. There's more than one of you simultaneously existing, and this is why past lives are so hard to understand. Does that make sense to you, Santi?
More than ever.
More than ever.
So, where do we go from here? What is happening? Can you expand on what that means in our present situation?
Yes. Our Akashic record. I will describe what the Akashic records of a planet is. I will describe what the Akashic records are. Imagine the center of a planet, a glowing energy of light. And this shell that is around this planet has thousands upon thousands of crystals in it. And those have created more and more crystals. And the older the soul gets inside, the more crystalline structure grows around it. That crystalline structure attracts and attracts and attracts on all levels of experience until the density of the planet reflects what it is today. The depth of the earth until its spirit core is very dense rock with crystals in it. Every part of the rock has got crystals impregnated in it. And that is where the dreaming mind of Earth lives. And that is where we interact with the Akashic record. The Earth is equal partners in this co-creation of life. And the Earth acts with you through synchronicities. The birds chirping at a perfect moment, winning a card game, finding the person you love on the beach, and the infinitude amount of other ways that human beings interact. The Akashic record is the living, organic expression of Earth's 100% neutral perspective as a mother holding space for life. That is the definition of the Akashic record. When a being comes to a planet, they bring their DNA light body. That DNA light body has a copy of the Akashic record of every planet they have lived on, every sun they have lived in. And this can be tracked back all the way to their point of immigrating to this universe. And that represents the universal Akashic record. And for beings who have lived in other universes, they will have a copy of their light body DNA of each Akashic record. And every time it goes from one galaxy to another, it gets a copy of the Galactic Akashic record. And a being who has moved from another universe and immigrated here, or if a being here immigrates to another universe, they take a copy of their universal Akashic record. This is the fabric of the universes. No being can permanently lose their experience. unless their planetary mind has been eliminated, and the planet itself's crystalline structure has been removed from the galaxies. And this is exactly what happened during the second, third, and fourth uncreational events. This is when warfare began to erase the Akashic records of worlds and beings, as an attempt at those other beings to forcefully deport whole sections of universe so they could invite in other universal beings to begin a system of domination and control in an attempt to forcibly take over this universe. By the fourth paradox, there were 66 planets using timeline genocide as their main means of war. At the conclusion of the fourth paradox, a fifth paradox instantly began, and the 17 universes were all threatened with uncreational events simultaneously. This is when the Galactic Ascension machine was formed, and the 17 universes began to dream with Earth. This began the massive spiritual cord of equity, so all beings can find zero balance with karma, so all beings can begin to no longer use karma. For karma was the universal rule that was abused the worst. It is what entangled the trillions of worlds into this warfare system. And now in our great awakening, we begin to disentangle from karma on all dimensions and time streams, all galaxies and universes. We no longer need to use karma as our universal source. We are 100% free-willed beings in a 100% free-willed universe. And it's time we stepped up as sovereign beings, ready to accept the legacy of our ancestors, so our future ancestors can live here too. Final remedy and resolve. No more justice, no more judgment. That is this expression of unity that is spreading throughout the world, coming together to break bread, share a meal, and to tell our friends and family it's time the ignorant and the intolerant not be given the center stage, but those who love and know how to love in return, who are not callous of heart, who can hold a child in the middle of the night when they're sick. Those are the people we want as our leaders, not the corrupt criminals we put there now. It's time we stand together as brothers and sisters, united in global unity, with the single thought, we want our race history back. We demand that the conquerors of our history come forth and tell us the truth, because if they do not, the Akashic record will reveal their truth. Any other particular questions on that, Santi?
Well, that's extremely enlightening. What are the possibilities of these, I don't know, controllers not stepping down, or what is the end game basically here in your view right now?
It's all about understanding the propaganda. Who will be the first friends of Earth? Who will be the first enemies of Earth? Will we accept those two choices? Or will we understand that good and evil is a macro perspective, a belief system we have been trained, like Pavlov's dogs, to accept? We are infinite beings. We are infinite source. We are connected to all dreaming minds of this universe. And our only limitation is our creativity. The more creative you are, the more infinite you are. You live on a world unlike any others in the universe, like any others in the 17 universes here. As a being here, we experience the 7 rays of colors. We have 9 experiential bodies. That means every moment in this ever-present co-creative moment, the one alive in the I am presence, can experience this world 63 different ways. The vast majority of beings in this universe can only experience their world in 3 ways. That is why they want to be here. That is why they want to be a part of our culture when we awaken. That is why they want us to come to their worlds first. So our awakening is about our sovereign awakening without interference. So each of us can come to our inner Akashic truth. And once they come to their truth, they will awaken. Once they come to their dream world, they will learn there was never a separation between dreams. But each person on this planet now, 7,300,000,000 human beings, will begin to learn there are 50 billion other beings living on this world. And that our global governments have been in league with these beings for tens of thousands of years, some for positive, some for negative. It has been a battle for the end. What has happened in the beginning and the middle is almost pointless, because all strategic plays were always for the end. There are 10,300 plus species invested in timeline genocide, and many of them have the goal of bonding our DNA with theirs so they can take it out to the rest of the universe to be the saviors of the universe. That is vanity, but that is the desperation of the rest of the universe. There are tens of thousands of species out there who made grave mistakes in their history by removing their sex organs from their DNA so they could only clone. They have taken away the process of the fetus and the baby and the teenager. A soul is born into an adult body with no real memories of nurturing from a mother or father, disconnected from a dream world because they don't live on a planet. They live on a ship where everyone's in a unity mind, and individuality is difficult to upkeep. Without ways to naturally incarnate into a soul family, their species began to dwindle, thousands upon thousands of them within a few years of total extinction, if they cannot find the miracle of our DNA. Those are soul family members out there. There will be many here on Earth when they begin to be introduced to their soul families. In the dream world exchange, true love will be found, and the great mistakes of the species past can be changed. And we will teach an 80,000-year-old woman how to have swollen feet when she's pregnant, how to go through birth, how to raise a child, and once again, how to love as a mother and father. That's our legacy. Thousands upon thousands of species look at us as this, as their saviors, as their soul family, as their experience. And that's what awaits us. It'll come in every form, in every shape. They could look like sentient chocolate pudding or a beautiful, beautiful human woman. Simply do not be afraid of what they look like. Know from your heart the frequency of their love for you. And no matter what they look like, you will always find the respect of love. Any additional questions there, Santi?
Well, Andrew, that was a fantastic explanation. Again, I have come to better and better understand you and your concept with greater clarity than ever. So thank you for that. Now, giving all that, what can each of us do to facilitate towards a better conclusion of this end game?
Each person must begin to define what sovereignty means to them, what loving means to them, and how they relate to the global world. You are no longer a small little person, a small little nation. You are an infinite being with an infinite legacy. It comes down to self-healing and self-nurturing. Within these concepts is where you take time off, disconnect from material